we're going to move on to our controllers. We can close out all of these files here, and if we go into our left hand side here, do a right click new file, and we can create our controllers. So we'll have a stories controller, and actually stories, capital stories, and remember controllers are plural, and it's going to inherit from application controller. Stories controller RB, and this is also a very Rails opinionated way of naming these files. You have to name it stories underscore controller dot RB. Don't name it story underscore controller RB, or don't forget this underscore. It's very imperative that you are naming these the Rails convention, or else Rails won't understand and won't be able to figure out that there is a controller for our stories. So again, make sure to name it correctly, just as I'm naming it right here. So we created our stories controller. We are going to have a categories controller. Categories underscore controller. And we're going to have a comments controller. New file. Good, so that'll be good enough for now. And the first thing, or the next thing that I want to do, if we look at our Rails server, so if you jump into your terminal and start up your Rails server with Rails S, now go to port 3000, localhost / 3000, that's how you get to your Rails local development server. You'll see that we're just brought to the default home page that Rails gives us. So now let's go into our routes here by searching for routes RB, and let's create a route path for it. So we're going to route it to our stories index action. Now, if you go into our stories controller, we don't have an index action right here. But let's just see what this does. So go here and do a refresh in your browser. It's going to tell us, hey, you don't have an index action. It can't be found in our stories controller. So let's create it here. Go back to the browser, refresh. It's going to tell us that we have a missing template. And what we'll want to do is go into our views here. So our views is what holds all of our templates. Essentially all of our HTML files that we present in the browser. Let's create a new folder called stories. And in that stories folder, create a new file called index.html.erb. And here, let's just do a hello world. Go back into our browser, do a refresh, and there you have it. We have essentially what we did here was we created all of our controllers, and in our routes here, we created a route path. And what the route path basically means is the home page of your application. So our route path, we're directing it to something, and that something is the index action of our controller. So in our controller, we have to create an index action, and with that, if we had to name this this view file index. So don't name it home, don't name it something else. You have to name it index.html.erb. And we put this hello world here, and if we got rid of that, just say hello and do a refresh here, you'll know that this is showing our index action page, our index.html.erb file. So there we have it. We created our controllers. We created a route path here, and it points to our stories index action. And now we are able to see something on the home page. It's not much, and it's essentially nothing right now, but we'll pretty this up as we go throughout this course.